Welcome everyone, today we have a new build guide for Diablo 4. So firstly, let me show you guys a demonstration of this new adjustment build. Now what you're looking at is a Barbarian build that is going to adjust for higher damage per second. And what I want to show you guys is, yes, we're not hitting 20 million, 30 million damage, but we're having so much faster attack speed and so much higher DPS. So let me briefly just give you guys a small pause over here to show you guys our damage. It is pretty significant, and also we deal a lot of damage very quickly. You can see millions of damage over here, 13 million damage and 9 million damage, and we deal a lot of damage AoE very fast. So what I want to do in this video is, I want to show you guys the adjustment build for the Hota build. And I think I have made this a perfect farming build for the Barbarians. We're super fast, we deal tremendous damage to every enemy. We do not have any downtime. And of course, in the end of the video, I'll show you guys an entire replay of me testing the build at a tier 74 dungeon. I did not try to speedrun this dungeon, but rather I want to show you guys how much damage we can deal and also how durable we are. Because as a character you want to be farming, you want to be killing, notice that you can deal tremendous damage using this combo. And we're no longer combo dependent, we have 100% uptime. We're not waiting for cooldown, we're not waiting for stuns. We have a lot of fury and we deal a lot more damage. Now at the end of the video, I'll show you guys my stats, which can easily go to 78 or even 80% critical chance using just one potion. Even without a potion, we can easily have about 65% critical chance, and this gives us a lot of damage and a lot of effects. So just briefly show you guys a boss fight with a tier 74 dungeon. Now during the time of testing on this boss, this is when the Barbarian had a hidden nerf with Hammer of Engine. Notice I'm not dealing millions of damage. This is because the developers hiddenly nerfed the Fury, maximum Fury dealing damage with Hammer of Engine. And I didn't know at the time, and I couldn't find another boss for 74 or 75. So you can see, even with the hidden nerf of the Barbarian during the time of the recording, we still deal a lot more damage. And there's no downtime. We hit a lot faster, and also we stun a lot more often, and we also deal a lot of damage per second. Now I know some of you guys might have seen our previous video about doing about 20 million, 19 million damage with a Hota build. Back then with Hota build, you can see there's a 19 million over here, and I was doing 21 million on the stream. But the downside is there's a downtime with the stomp plus the combination. We only get 1 or 2 shots, and if we don't crit, everything feels terrible without enough fury. Now if you're following the build, we do have the build guide on Mobilitics over here as a summary, and also a cheat sheet with all the stats of the choices of the gears. And here I have shared my default builder. So what I want to do in this video is, there won't be a dramatic change compared to the previous build. There will be some essential change in terms of the two-handed weapon choice. And I'll also give you guys a variety of choices of legendary aspects you can be imprinting to go for different combinations. Now the second part of the video, I'll also provide you guys with a variety of the gears that I'm currently swapping in terms of lower tier. So if I'm running a tier 60 or tier 50 dungeons, I'm using the legendary for more critical chance. If I'm going with high tier dungeons, I'm going with a chest piece with more defensive purpose and also more skill rank. So in this video, I'll show you guys some of the adjustment I have in terms of farming for different tier levels, and also the skill adjustment and also the Paragon adjustment. So what happens when you're not healthy all the time, which of the glyph you can be using, and what happens when you can deal more damage when you're healthy. Now similar to all of our build videos, I'll be working with Mobilitics and also provide you guys with a cheat sheet of the summary of the spells and also the abilities and also the choice of legendaries. So make sure you guys check the links below, and we'll be updating this build for you guys very soon. Now if you haven't seen our previous video, definitely still have a look. A lot of combination tips is given more in details in that video. So in this video, it's a follow-up from the previous video. So one of the biggest changes I have made in terms of the weapon and also FX choices, firstly is that my two-handed weapon is still the same. I'm trying to look for a two-handed mace that provide me with core skill damage, but I could not find it. But what we did was, we now have the two-handed imprint of legendary FXs that give us the increased attack speed by 50% when you critical hit with your core skill. And this is why when you see some of the faster fights, we're actually hitting a lot faster, a lot quicker. I'm basically like a frenzied barbarian that's hitting super fast with a two-handed hammer, and we deal tremendous damage AoE. And this is such a powerful combination with the fury gain, with the ability to generate more fury and also deal more damage with Hammer of Engine, because you actually string your hammer much faster with high attack speed. So this is why I have replaced my increased stun damage. So previously my two-handed weapon, I had an increased stun damage. And that was great for 20-30 million damage, but for a higher consistent DPS, I recommend going with core skills that increase your attack speed by 50%. Now over here, we can also easily roll over 10% or even 15% attack speed on the gloves. Now I know some of the barbarians like to have lucky hit chance. Over here, I decided to go with higher critical chance and also even higher critical chance against injured enemies. So when enemies are injured, we pretty much have a 100% critical chance because of these gloves. So this is a personal choice. If you guys still want to go with lucky hit chance on this one, it is okay as well. But because I'm running a ground stomp which guarantee for a 4-second or even 8-second stun with these particular boots, which allows me to do even more damage when enemies are stunned. I'm not too worried about the lucky hit because of that. Now one of the second biggest change for my build is that I have started to run all the core skill damage on all of my weapons if I can. Unfortunately, I cannot find a better hammer with a core skill, so I'm keeping this one with the all stats. But over here you can see I'm running core skill damage, vulnerability, critical damage together with strength. And similarly, this is the case for this one-handed weapon. And for the two-handed sword, we're going with core skill damage as well. And those are by far the best effects for the barbarians to be dealing more damage with Helm of Ancient. Now we have had a previous video to talk about this one, because if you guys didn't know, if you look at my stats over here, this is 362% core skill damage. If I take this off, I lose 120%. So the 51% core skill damage is translated over 120%. So it is amplified by 2 times and even more because of the core passives we have as barbarians. Now at the end of the video, I'll show you guys my effects of choices and also what I have rerolled on each of the gears. So briefly going through the barbarian, not much have changed. We're going with legendary for the barriers on the helmet. We're going with the increase or decreased damage reduction by 20% with basic attack. And here I'm still going with Helm of Ancient on the gloves. I am planning to test a new build which moves the Helm of Ancient onto the two-handed weapon. So here you can see some of the future build I'm planning to change for the barbarian. So for now, we're still going with Helm of Ancient on the gloves. As for the pants, we're going with increased fury, give us more fortify. And now for the boots, this is quite interesting. We have 2 choices of boots. So when I'm fighting a lower tier dungeon, tier 60, tier 50 or even lower, I'll be switching on the chest and also the boots. So the chest allows me to have more critical chance with physical against elites and also reduction to cooldowns. With the boots, I will be moving faster and even faster while moving unstoppable. Now against harder tier dungeons, tier 70, tier 80 dungeons, I'll be using the defensive chest over here, and also I'll be using the defensive offensive boots over here. Which in comparison, these boots provide me with more stats and also additional 50% damage against unstoppable enemies. And when enemies are crowd controlled, they have 20% increased crowd control duration, which allows us to have that 4.8 seconds to stun enemies with ground stomp. Now for my two-handed weapon, we're going with a core skill to do more attack speed when we critical hit with the core spells, which is actually almost 100% uptime with 5 seconds. For the other one, we're going with the increase of skill damage when we have maximum resource. I will be adjusting this one in a future build, which I will be testing for you guys. Now in terms of the one-handed weapon, we're going with when enemies are stunned, they will be taking more damage from us, up to 40%. And for the other one, when we have maximum fury over the maximum cap, we'll be doing up to 30% more damage. Now the rings and also amulets are pretty straightforward. I decided to go with more defensiveness in terms of close damage reduction, and here we're going with armor percentage up to 75%. For the rings, we're still going with a triple shot. So we go with shot regeneration of the fury, and also over here we go with the lower of cooldowns. I am planning to make a barbarian build without using any of the shots. So stay tuned, we'll be making a Thorns Barbarian for level 100 and also a build without any of the shots. Now one thing I do want to highlight in terms of the choices of my gears, notice I have resource generation on both of my rings. I do not have maximum resource, because here I'm not looking forward to do 60 million, 50 million damage in one shot. I'm looking forward for consistent damage, which actually benefit from my high attack speed. So here both of my rings have resource generation. and this allows me to constantly have almost maximum fury because of this. So my fury cap is only at 152. It is not going to be the one-shot Barbarian, but it's going to be a very high DPS Barbarian. Now over here, a small recommendation: if you guys find yourself to be really short on fury and you cannot achieve the bonus fury gain over the maximum fury, what you can do is you can always use this particular legendary effects. I have tested this one, it gives pretty good stats, and it also gives up to 15% bonus damage. And this of course is when you guys stand in the ground stomp. And this actually deals pretty sizable damage. It was popping like 50-60,000 damage every second, and this was actually pretty good for the bonus damage when you stun enemies. Now if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates, and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4. Now briefly coming over to the skill choices. Not much have changed, so the only thing that has changed is that I'm going with 1 point into maximum life. And while over here, only 1 point is going with Rally Cry and also 1 point going with Challenging Shot. I'm getting most of my skill ranks coming from the chest and also the amulet over here for 7 skill rank. Now what I'm doing is I'm still going with the fury, with the increase of fury gain while berserking. I'm still going with an increase of 7% critical chance when enemies are slowed. So here I really want to guarantee we have more slows. So when enemies are bleeding, we'll be having more slows to increase our critical chance, which is very essential for this build. Now over here, I have decided to unperk the increase of damage while we have Fortify, but rather go with more damage reduction while Fortify. This is a personal choice as I find myself to be a little more squishy after tier 70 and so tier 80 with nightmare dungeons. And here you do want to go with heavy-handed and also more chance of stunning enemies. Because we're attacking very fast with the legendary aspects over here on the two-handed weapon, this is actually really important to be stunning enemies with a ground stomp, and also from normal attacking, you'll be stunning enemies very often. Now briefly going through the paragons. Not much has changed, so similar to the previous paragons I have shared with you guys, I haven't changed much. What I have noticed is at higher tier levels, maybe after 75 or after tier 80, you'll be finding yourself not being healthy all the time. And if this is the case guys, we have a few choices to replace this glyph. Now one of the more damaging glyph you can be going for is going to be the Blood Feeder, which allows you to do more damage against bleeding targets, and this also provides you guys with more critical chance. So this is definitely a nice glyph to be doing more damage in terms of against bleeding enemies. Now the second choice we have is going to be the Might glyph, which gives us an 8% multiplier while using two-handed weapon, and also amplifies the magical nodes in the zone. So this will be amplifying the reduction of damage while vulnerable enemies are nearby, and also this will be amplifying the vulnerability damage. So those two glyphs are optional guys if you want to replace those two with well healthy, because if you can't stay healthy over 80%, you're not doing bonus damage. But if you are guys, this is a massive bonus to your damage overall. Now similar to our previous videos, I'll try to be updating my build onto mobilities with the summaries of the effects and everything that's related. And also over here, I'll be trying to update the second build of this adjustment onto default builders for you guys. Now briefly going through the skill rotations for this build. This one is very straightforward. You just cast your shot, and once you're next to the elite monsters, you cast your ground stomp. And while doing that, I'm constantly holding down both of my left click and also right click. So I'm auto attacking and also spamming my Hammer of Engine once I have maximum fury. What I can achieve is I do one normal attack, one Hammer of Engine, and this gives me a maximum fury. And you can see that we mow down the elites very fast because of the insane attack speed. And I can say this build have the really high DPS for farming any of the tier 70, tier 80 dungeons, and this is super fast for farming tier 60 and also tier 50 dungeons. Now briefly going through fights over the boss. The boss is quite straightforward. You just make sure you always start to hammer the boss, and while you're hammering the boss, cast ground stomp next to the boss. What you're gonna see is the boss will be stunned very often, and especially when the boss is stunned, make sure you deal most of the damage. And once the boss goes under 35%, this is when you almost have a 100% critical chance. And notice how fast we killed down the boss because of the choice of the gloves and also legendaries. Now, in case you guys didn't know, I'll be live streaming on Twitch again, and I have just started. So make sure to come over to the links below to join us on Twitch live to say hi, maybe ask me questions or share any tips with the viewers. And while you're here, make sure you follow. And if you do have your Twitch Prime, this is a really good time to use your Twitch Prime over here, supporting us with Twitch Prime. And yes, guys, join us as I test build for Diablo, and also join us as you play the game and also farm the game. So stay a while and also listen. We'll also be doing some giveaways and also special viewer events in the Diablo as well. Maybe we do PvP and also related events in the game as we get to the end game, and also help players to go through the dungeons. Now, in order to give you guys a better summary, so here we have a replay of me going with a tier 74, tier 75 dungeon, and I have shown my stats over here. So you can briefly have a look at the choice of the gears. And as a small highlight, guys, if you do have the Elixir of Cruelty, this is an insane potion for this build. So after popping this potion for this battle, notice my critical chance is up to 58%. And this is even higher because of my passives and also my chest if I place those. So I can easily go over 78% critical chance with those combos of items and also potions.
I need more time.